Hey, what's up with it? How y'all doing? Just doing a little night ride. I ride a minimum of 20 miles every day. So this was the first chance I got to get my ride in. So if y'all stick around, I'll be able to see the lights in New Orleans in about maybe 6 minutes. Had a nice wind blowing out the south. So pretty nice. Right now we in the lower part of Algiers called the Cutoff. And if you look to my left, I'll show you a little glimmer right through the trees right there. You might be able to see some of the lights of the city, the skyline. But we're getting real close, so those lights out in the back, and you'll be able to see the river as well in just a few minutes. This little area right here, to my right, like this is where the highest concentration of coyotes are, even though they're everywhere. But in this little area right here, this way they're the thickest. Because the river is right directly to my right. And yeah, my bike, I'm gonna have to bring it to the shop because my back rim is not true anymore. It's out of whack. So my bike has this weird little rattle. And it's all coming from that back rim. But I've been very unfortunate with my back rim. I've been through one, two, three of them. They just get destroyed, you know? So I'm riding too many miles for this ancient equipment. And every spoke is $8. So if you have 10 spokes to fix, you know, you could buy a new house, you know. But just past this white light right here, it'll get a little brighter. And then you'll be able to see the old Navy base and eventually the skyline of New Orleans. It's just peaking right now. And hopefully we have a few ships passing in the river. The cruise ship left yesterday. We get the Carnival Liberty, the Carnival Valor. We get Norwegian Cruise Line Getaway. And we also get Norwegian Cruise Line Escape. I believe it's Escape. I've seen Celebrity Cruises out here as well, and Explorer too. So we have typically somewhere around 5 boats, 5 cruise ships that all are docked at some point right here in New Orleans. But that other Carnival boat that I saw, it could have came here because of the storm, you know. But almost wiped out. Yeah, we're in America, Kenny. Hi, Isabella. Doing good. Thank you for asking. Hope you are too. And Jimmy Chong asked, are there any Bigfoots? Yeah. I hope you don't want me to answer that, Jimmy. If you think Bigfoot are real, you know, in 2025, where's the real evidence of a Bigfoot, a Sasquatch, a Yeti, a abominable snowman? Where's the real footage? Whatever, all these cell phones out here, where's the real footage? But Jimmy, when I was a little younger, like 7 or 8, I did believe in Bigfoot. Our bridge also is lit up with lights. So if you stick around, the lights are really cool tonight. They're like purple and gold. You can see it right through the little trees. But if you stick around, you'll be able to see it a whole lot more up close, you know? But nah, I believed in Bigfoot when I was smaller. I believed in a Loch Ness sea monster. I did. But I no longer believe in Bigfoot. I think some people do see something, but it ain't a Bigfoot. It's not a Yeti, you know? But I do believe. I had a friend of mine, really smart man. He grew up the old way, you know? Basically, they had to fish and hunt for protein. He grew up many years ago. And like chicken and pork was not something they had readily available, you know? It was mainly wild game. And one night he was in the woods hunting because that's the most efficient time to get meat, protein is at night. But in most places, that's considered illegal unless you're hunting, in my area, a raccoon or a wild hog. But wild hog, you would have to be doing it on private land with permission to do it at night. But other than that, it is totally against the law of fish and game to hunt at night. But anyway, he was in the swamp one night and he sat down, like he stepped over this fallen cypress tree. And then when he got on the other side, he sat down on it. And then it got up and started walking away. So he said he thought it was just a cypress tree, but it possibly was a massive alligator that he walked over and sat on, you know. And so he told me this story, and I do believe him because he was a lot of things, but he was not a liar. This is the old Navy base before they built the base in Belle Chase. This was the old base right here. But he told me this story that he was in the woods one night hunting, and he told me he saw a UFO, you know, and he said like he was in the woods, everything got super bright all around him. It was like the sun came out. And he said he saw the UFO. And I was so happy, but his brother was right there. And he told me, he said, you know, my brother did a lot of, you know, pharmaceuticals, you know. But I do believe he saw something. I do. But he could have just been on a trip. Directly across the river right there, that is the old Navy Yard as well. Right now it's Blythe property, basically. And that's some of the new, I think this building right here is for the Coast Guard. That's what I think. It's either, yeah, it's got to be the Coast Guard. And the Marine building is straight ahead right there. So they got everybody over there with a little unit. And we're starting to see the skyline of the city. And probably in another 5 minutes, the bridge is right over here to the left, and you can see it lit up. It's gonna be beautiful when we see it under the light of being so close to it, you know. It's a nice view of the city. And where I showed you over here, that little area right there is the lower Ninth Ward. So a lot of people were talking about Hurricane Katrina, and that's where the levee breached, right over there. So I got about maybe 5 more miles to ride, and I'll be done like 21, 22 miles, somewhere in there. And that's good enough for me for right now. But the way the weather feels right now, it would be a good night to do maybe 40 or 50. But with my back rim being warped, or whopped, as we say, it's not a smart decision. I have a very old bike. It's got to be at least 40 years old. It's either from 79, 80, or 81. Something like that. But I was able to find it on the internet, and they milled them for maybe 4 years tops. And this baby is wobbling really, really, really severely. When I first started, being an amateur professional bicycle rider, it's amazing how you learn what different noises are, or different clicks are, or different feelings are with your bicycle. You become one. This is some units they built, these little houses. I guess they're trying to be like Florida. They got a crew boat coming up behind us. They're very distinct as far as the noise they make. Yeah, but these are some of the newer houses on this area. The movie 12 Rounds with John Cena, some of the chase scenes with them driving and all of that was out in this area too. Russell Crowe did a movie about road rage. Well, it wasn't about road rage, but he had road rage in a movie, and he was in this little area too. And he rode over the bridges a good bit that we're gonna come up to in a few. There are some really nice pubs right here, and because it's nighttime, you won't be able to see the actual marquee. But I'll come back to that. This little area right here is one of the best fishing spots on the river in close proximity to the city of New Orleans. Some of the biggest catfish you could ever want to catch right here on this spot. I'm gonna do some camping videos over here as well. Me and the Mud Boys, we're gonna hook up and do some camping videos out here. I was trying to wait for it to get colder, so it wouldn't be as miserable with mosquitoes and stuff like that. They just built this little White House right here. Like, they're still working on it, just built it. Anyway, yeah, this is the little spot. You used to be able to drive over there, but you know how people are. They're doing all kind of crazy stuff, so. But that's one of the best fishing spots on the river. And there's a guy on YouTube, Fish X Scale. He been doing a few fishing videos right over here on the sandbar. I did a few too, but I wasn't as productive as him. But I have caught redfish and flounder over there on the sandbar as well. But like I was saying, one of the pubs right over here, the banner says on the marquee, air conditioning. So that's how old it is. In fact, it's coming up. It has on the marquee, the banner, air conditioned, just to let people know this was a place to get out the heat in New Orleans. I think that's pretty cool. They advertise air conditioning. And if you up north, then, it won't really make sense in a sense of you really experiencing living without air conditioning. In New York, I was told, that's the little bar right there, Old Point Bar. But I was told in New York, everybody has a window unit. In a certain time of year, they pull it out of the closet and they put it in the window. This little area across the river from us is called Bywater. It's a cool place. A lot of artists, a lot of hippies, a lot of tree people, a lot of good energy down there. Everybody fits in. Got a lot of weird people down there too, might I add. And we're almost at Algiers Point. This little area straight ahead, and I know you can't see it that great because it is almost midnight, 28 minutes from midnight in Louisiana, but that's the French Quarter. It might be a little bit more seen once we get a little closer. But this is why they call New Orleans the Crescent City, because the river turns right here in this little spot. So my camera's in the east. My camera's in the north direction. So east is behind us, west is straight ahead, and south is to our left. They built this big orange building and this yellow building within the last few years. multi-story structures. Now, sometimes they have all the lights on in this little bachelor area, but tonight I guess they off, you know? So I guess they're encouraging the freaks to come out. And this is a little area. No, this is New Orleans. Yep. Yeah, this is New Orleans. So that's the French Quarter right across the river, the CBD. And this is the ferry right here at Algiers Point. And then coming up, we have the bridges. So I should be at the bridges in about 5 minutes or so, unless I have a breakdown. But if you want to cross the river, you just come right here to the ferry. It's $3 if you get the Jazz Pass online. Download the app, get the Jazz Pass. It's $3 for 24 hours. So you can ride all of the ferries. You can travel on all of the bus lines. And you could travel on the streetcar lines for $3 for 24 hours, which is a great deal. That's another nice bar right over yonder, Crown and Anchor. And like when I want Guinness on tap, I go right over there. They have another Irish beer. Man, what is the name of that beer? I had one the other day. But anyway, it's a really good beer. And they just hang these new lights up, they're LED. And what's up, my man? All right, brother. And I'm talking about this week. You know, they've been working on them for about 2 weeks, but they just hung them up. They're LED, and it really brightens up the place nicely. So like if you're out here, you know, it's like you can see, you know, which is huge from just a standpoint of being able to feel a little bit more secure when you're out in public, you know, being able to see. Like when you see feet walking up towards you or shadows, it can put you on edge because you just don't know folks' intentions, you know. But when you can see the whole river walk, it's like, okay, Old Glory. They just changed out Old Glory like a month ago, maybe a month ago. And we're gonna get closer to the bridges and you'll be able to see the cool colors. But the colors change. I don't really know the schedule because sometimes they change them every day. And then sometimes they change them for certain themes. Like when the Super Bowl was here in New Orleans, one bridge was red, one bridge was green. And when the game was over, both bridges, I think, were green. Don't quote me. But that was a pretty cool time. So if you came to this is a neighborhood where 12 Rounds was, some of the chase scenes were filmed at, right over here. But anyway, if you ever heard of the term Mardi Gras, this is one of the float companies right here, Kern Studios. And they have a few different warehouses on this side of the river and on that side of the river. So that's where they build the big floats for Carnival. And if you ever, yeah, I'll tell you on the other side of this levee. We're about to go down in a few and then come back up on the other side. So just give me a second. But you see all these lights, all those little lights, that building is called the Convention Center, Ernest Morial Convention Center. So if you heard of Hurricane Katrina, and you've seen the pictures or the video of all of the residents that were trapped in the city, all of these Americans trapped in the city, and they were living outside. That's where they were living at, right there at the convention center, in deplorable conditions, with nobody coming to help them, you know. So a lot of folks still got trauma from Hurricane Katrina, myself included. I have a Pelican case, I think. If it ain't Pelican, it might be OtterBox or Life Proof or something. But I'm starting to think that maybe it's supposed to be waterproof. That's why I bought it, because I'm always outside. But it doesn't really work great with this white light background. It kind of makes it look a little glazy. But I'm always, when I look at it, I do try to make a conscious effort to wipe the lens. But it's not anything I could do. Yeah, so where all those white lights at, that's the convention center. That's the river side of it. The front side is where all those Americans were held up and just waiting for help that eventually came. Put my cat eye on. Because this little spot is where a lot of nefarious activity happens at night. And then these little kids come out here and they want to shoot guns and smoke weed and just, you know, be kids. They like to break glass bottles too. And then some of them like to park on a levee and just block it up. What's up, man? They like to park on a levee and just block it up. Like when I was coming down here to ride, dude just parked right across the whole levee, you know? And it's like, I can't tell him nothing. I don't know how his mama raised him. But just block the whole levee, you know? Then they got a guy that fishes out here, and he'll be in them shrubs down there. And people just come up here and start shooting, you know? So, yeah, but these are the bridges. The bridge you see right here, this is the newer bridge. And the one we're gonna go under next is the older bridge. That was the original. But like I say, these lights, both bridges, the lights, all these LED lights that were added on before the Super Bowl, they cost like $22 million. And so a lot of people were not happy that the mayor spent $22 million on lights for the bridges. But let me show you this. You see how pretty the lights look there. Look down here. I mean, it's depressing, man. I love the lights. And most of those haters love the lights too. They're just too prideful to admit it. I mean, look how beautiful that looks, you know? But when you're into politics, you do lose your mind. But when I was a little boy, this was before car seats and even seat belts were enforced. But my dad, we'd be over on a bridge and he let me hold the wheel the whole way over. You know, Alan Jackson has a song, Daddy Jean, Daddy Let Me Drive. Man, you know, I used to look forward to coming over the bridge. We all got wheel time, you know. Can't do that today. But I think when my daughter was like 10, I used to have a minivan, you know. And I used to let her drive it in the neighborhood. She was big enough to sit on the driver's seat and reach the pedals. So I figured at that age and that height, you know. So I used to let her drive in the neighborhood. I never got Dad of the Year award either, you know, but I didn't need it. Got a little rail yard right here. This is Gretna, or almost Gretna. And one thing about this little area right here, man, they got a lot of coyotes out here, a lot. A lot of rabbits too, which is surprising. And we got some, I think tomorrow the wind is supposed to be 30, 40 mile an hour wind. And I think the strongest the wind ever been when I've rode my bike was like 35. So tomorrow is going to be a very windy day. It's windy right now, but the wind is coming out the south. So, but it's not, this is not the worst wind I've ever been in. Last year, October, the wind was brutal the whole month. So then when November rolled around, it wasn't as windy, but October was horribly windy. But it just make you a tougher, stronger rider, when you're dealing with the wind. Yeah, from around the way for sure. I gotta learn how to ride though. Perry Street Wharf. During the Super Bowl, they had Chester Cheeto, little riverboat out there. That's the Perry Street Wharf right there. Yep. So I have a kayak, and a few people. As soon as I got it, a few people were like, "You're not gonna try to cross the river in it, huh? You're not gonna go because I fish in the river." And they were like, "You're not gonna fish. You're not gonna put it in the river, huh?" And I was like, "Of course not." I did think about it, but I'm like, "Of course not." But I don't know, man. I don't know. I think I can cross the river in the kayak on a very calm day. Like when the water is like glass, I think I could get in and just paddle and just let it basically take me across. I think I could do that. It's only 300 feet deep at its deepest part, but, it's just something in my head. Just a thought, a wild thought. I told my brother, and he hadn't responded yet, so he might be letting me just think on that. This house right here, they just built. I mean, they're still working on it, just built it. And it's the first time I see the lights on. So the good thing about the design is the bottom can flood and the house is okay. So it's nothing but a glorified upstairs house, just with a third level to make it, where you ain't got to worry about it flooding. This one was just built probably a year before that one. But the first one I showed you is not occupied that I'm aware of. But I used to fish on the river right behind it. They used to have an old house there. People bought it, knocked the old house down, and the developer and built that nice house. All of these little houses are just some old houses out here in Gretna. Old Gretna. But Gretna's a nice city to live in because, like, it's over-policed. So a lot of people feel secure in Gretna. Like, if you're not from this area and you ever see Gretna, Louisiana, I'm going to tell you right now, you better have your seatbelt on. That window tint better not be illegal. You better not have one crack, a horsehair thick, and your tail lights. Better have your insurance together. If you got warrants, don't come to Gretna. I'm telling you right now. Don't come out here. These boys don't play. Gretna and Westwego? Yeah, just go the other way. Just go the other way. So it is very much a little police state. And they write tickets all day long. Because that's how they make their money. But I tell anybody, stay out of Gretna, stay out of Westwego. Make sure your stuff is together. Make sure that little paper plate on that car you bought is legit. How people be riding around with that stuff saying license applied for, don't come in Gretna, don't go in Westwego with that. I'm telling you right now. Yep. Appreciate all y'all popping on too, And I'm gonna show you the best sunset location you could have. They got a company called Zatarans. You might have saw the commercial, but they're right behind these little tanks to my straight ahead. It's right over there. It's called Zatarans. They make jambalaya, box stuff, rice dishes, all that box stuff, A real big New Orleans company. And then I think these blue tanks right here, they got a company called Domino. Like the pizza place, but it's called Domino. And it's a sugar company. So they make granulated sugar. And this is their tanks right here. But we passed up the Domino plant a little bit. Well, I wasn't live when I passed that up. I wasn't live. But we coming up to a good location if you want to watch a sunset. If you're in Gretna, this is the best that I found, other than the Bell Chase Bridge, watching the sunset set from 300 feet in the air, you know. I think 371 feet or 364 feet elevation. But right as we passing this little wall right there, because west is this way, this is west, due west, straight up this way. And it's a beautiful sunset right over here. And they just had the Gretna Fried Chicken Fest out here. The Fried Chicken Fest. It was right here on the river Batcher. I fished on the other side of this wall when the river was high. Caught a few fish over there. Caught an American eel, freshwater eel. I got a video of me cleaning them and cooking them, you know. But when the river was high, they had water all the way up here to the wall, you know. All of this was underwater on the river Batcher. But this is the best spot to watch the sunset. What are these lights out to the right there? That's where the sun goes down. And it's a beautiful, beautiful sunset. Oh, speaking of which, I just did a video last night. All right, what's up with it? I did a video last night on the moon. You know, if you ever saw the moon set, the moon actually does set. And I recorded it last night while I was fishing. But this is a shot of the river and the city where we just came from. Let me stop for a second. All right, so the light right here, that's the Superdome, and the rest of the CBD. The World War II Museum is like right over here as well. And the Smoothie King Center is right over here by the Superdome. Yep. But it's a beautiful shot of the city, you know. And the river is not like glass. There's a little ripple on it, but it's really, really calm in comparison. Sometimes you come up here and they got white caps. So I got a video. I don't know if it's on, maybe on my YouTube, but I walked 28 miles on January 22nd, 2025. I did a marathon, ultra marathon walk. It took me 10 hours, 34 minutes, 14 seconds. I forget how many steps it was, you know. All right, how y'all doing? Nice night, huh? Yeah, brother. And I had a good time, you know. I had a good time. I learned a lot about myself. And little tugboat out there on the river. Now, when the water was high, they had water all the way up on these steps that's down here. The water was high all the way to the bottom of the steps. So everything you see was underwater up there. And I'm gonna come down Huey P. Long and show you that. They just started wrapping the lights around the trees again. And for Christmas time, they're gonna do it again. I seen plenty of people fall right here, crossing them tracks. Susha fell over there. I fell twice. Two years ago, I broke my right collarbone right here. I just passed out. I was riding this bike right here, just passed out. And I broke the right side. I don't remember coming through here. And then April 28th, I broke my left collarbone right here. I did something like that, but I was going too fast. I was doing like 20 in that curve. I was off my saddle, and I was trying to crank down this street right here. I was trying to get a good crank, and that's how I wiped out. Hit my head, all of that, you know. But, so I rode my maintenance trainer pardon me, I rode my trainer for the next like 3 months, trying to heal up. And I think my biggest ride on the trainer was 105 miles, and that was rough. I wanted to do another 100 on the trainer, but I just didn't push myself. So we do have a live train that comes down, yeah, and passes through the city. But I got some videos on my YouTube of this street, Huey P. Long, and how they decorate it at different times of the year. You should check them out. They really light it up. And what they do, they put like these little plastic ball tents out here. It's totally see-through. And like they put the lights up, they put a manger up. They do all kind of stuff over here. And people take pictures out here all of the Christmas time. Because see these oaks, they wrap lights throughout all of these oaks. And then they leave them up for Mardi Gras. And then they take them down. And then in a few months, they're putting them back up. Like they're already starting to put them up right here. So that's what the forklifts, the man lifts are out here for. Because they wrap the lights around the trees and they decorate all this for all of the seasons, It's pretty cool to see. You can learn a lot, just observing. Tell you what, boy, this is I'll try to wipe the glass a little bit. Boy, this case is doing a number on the quality. This thing, hold on a second, let me see something. Okay, that's bad. I took the case off. So if I break my phone that's on, that's my fault. But the quality might be a little bit better. So they wrap lights all throughout these trees, and at some point when they get it all done, they turn them on. But they got a pole. It's a pole, like a telescopic pole, and it has a circle at the top of the pole. And so they have a guy with all of the lights on a coil, and all he does is the guy with the pole, as the guy with the coil's walking around a tree, he's just holding the pole up and he's just telescoping up to the right height. And that's how they get the lights around a tree. Back in the day, you got to throw a ladder up and keep on circling. They don't do that no more. Somebody's smart, man. They got a big brain and using it. I ain't been this way in a minute, so normally I turn right there. Tell you what, yeah, I'm gonna just cut through. I'm gonna cut through and come back. I've switched up my route a few times, and sometimes you just ride the same route and it's not good for you. Let me see how bad traffic is. Because I'm lit up. I got my red lights. I got my white lights. So I have enough light. But I like to roll through to Delhan Street and then cross this expressway right here. But it looked like it might be a good night to just go. Yeah, nothing coming. How you like that? Oh yeah, that's a perfect little stroll. I used to turn right there, but I had to cut across. So what I started doing was just riding all the way down 11th Street to hitting Delhan, which is not this first red light, but the first stoplight, but the second one, because that's a one-way. And I go in through the little neighborhood right over here. It's crazy, nothing coming. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I don't know if y'all remember when the TikTok ban happened, but what's crazy when the TikTok ban happened, it was like the day after the ban. I was and this was before the Super Bowl. I was riding my bike and I was cranking fast on a different road, and my phone fell out of the chest rig that I had. I was doing like 25. It fell on the ground, and a car, before I could get back to it, the car just rolled over it. And boy, it hurt me, man. I'm not gonna lie. I wanted to cry. And the worst part about it was I had just replaced the glass twice. When I started shooting TikTok and YouTube videos, I just was using my cell phone, and I broke my cell phone screen 4 times at $80 a pop. It's like a rock would because I'm always outside, and a rock would just be in a perfect little spot, So I haven't made a penny yet. I haven't made a penny yet, But anywho, so when my phone dropped and got rolled over, I didn't have TikTok on my a backup device. And so because of the ban, I couldn't get back in TikTok, So it took a little while before I was able to get back in it when all of that ban stuff was lifted. But I did all of my Super Bowl recording on Instagram. And yeah, so that's kind of how that happened. And I should have some TikTok, some Super Bowl videos on my YouTube. It's just, I felt kind of messed up because I couldn't do it on TikTok. Different audiences are on different platforms. And that's why, like, if you make content, you should be on all three. But it's so hard, believe it or not, it's so hard to stay focused and productive on all three platforms. But that's the breaks, This house coming up by this white truck, I guess they got one of them invisible dog barriers. But one day, man, boy, let them dogs out. Stop right here at the sidewalk. And I was so glad he did. And then, the homeowner didn't apologize, didn't say nothing, So that let me know he's a no good son of a gun. It's like your dog ran at me like he was going to attack me, And I used to have pepper spray. I got to get some more, but he ran at me like that was it, And it wasn't no small dog. And, but he never nothing, So it's like, well, I understand, I was riding down in the cutoff one morning, and I heard a woof. And I looked to my right, 2 pit bulls coming after me. Man, I was pedaling like Carl Lewis be running, And I looked back, they were still on my butt. I'm like, God, dog, I'm about to get bit all up. But I didn't give up. I kept pedaling. And that's the only reason I'm here today. But I really wasn't expecting them 2 pit bulls to come after me like that. But I want to tell y'all, thank y'all for riding along with me. I think, because I do a live book reading, and I just finished reading the book Shin Fu. It was an autobiography from the 1890s of a guy in China. And it was a really good book. It was only 4 chapters, but it was a really good book. And I think tonight I'm going to start another autobiography, and I may go live to do that. So within the next hour or so, if you want to listen to me read a book, autobiography, fascinating. I did read this book before, So the lady that gave me this book, she was like, I want you to have something. And I read it, and it was an amazing book. And I'm going to do commentary on this book because this book was one of the best books I ever read in my life. And I think the story behind the book has so much of meaning that we can draw from today, just being humans. But yep. So I'm gonna put the live back on when I get to the house in like 30 minutes. I want to save the battery. But thank y'all for joining. Thank y'all for watching the ride. And remember, y'all come back now. You hear?